Hello and welcome to Bounding Into Comics. My name is John Trent. I'm the founder and editor-in-chief at Bounding Into Comics. And today I got a story about David Almasi calling on conservatives to become activist investors to target Disney, Facebook, and other mega corporations. So you're probably wondering who David Almasi is. Well, he's the vice president of the National Center for Public Policy Research, and he called on conservatives to abandon the idea of boycotting mega corporations like Disney, Facebook, and others, and to instead become activist investors. He did so in an article published in the Daily Signal, where he cited his recent interaction with Disney CEO Bob Chapek during Disney's annual investor meeting. Almasi was able to ask Chapek, quote, "It's clear that there is a new blacklist punishing conservatives in the entertainment industry. Disney Plus actors Pedro Pascal and Gina Carano tweeted similar analogies of current political events to Nazi Germany. Yet only Carano, who is considered a conservative, was fired from The Mandalorian. Regarding Disney and a blacklist, this is the way?" In response, Chapek stated, "I don't really see Disney as characterizing itself as left-leaning or right-leaning, yet instead standing for values that are universal, values of respect, values of decency, values of integrity, and values of inclusion. And we seek to have not only how we operate, but the content that we make reflective of the rich diversity of the world we live. And I think that's a world we all should live in harmony and peace." After citing this interaction, Almasi notes his organization, the Free Enterprise Project of the National Center for Public Policy Research, has had some small wins in the past. He claims, quote, "Previous interactions between the Free Enterprise Project and corporate executives have led to Disney's admitting that commentator Joy Behar had insulted Christians and forcing her to publicly apologize. Time Warner's committing to more objectivity at CNN with subsequent resignations of 3 producers, and Apple CEO Tim Cook's asserting that environmental goals are more important to him than shareholder investments." The vice president then goes on to call for conservatives to begin investing in these major corporations, even if it's just one stock. He writes, "If conservatives begin voting their shares in large numbers, like the left does, CEOs may realize it's no longer worth doing the woke left's political bidding and focus instead on improving their respective companies," said Justin Danhoff, director of the Free Enterprise Project. Almasi then concludes, "Just like politicians, CEOs are influenced by those who bend their ears. Boycotts aren't effective. Engagement is key to conservatives' effectiveness in the corporate culture wars." So Danhoff would not only advocate for conservatives to become activists, but he recommends they actually begin exercising control of the board by voting out the leaders of these woke companies. In an op-ed in Breitbart, Danhoff writes, "One way conservatives can get involved is to vote the bums out. I'm not talking about political leaders. I'm talking about Jack Dorsey and the rest of his sycophantic Twitter board members. I am talking about Apple CEO Tim Cook and the rest of that partisan board. I'm talking about Bank of America CEO Brian Moynihan, who uses the bank's finances to fund all sorts of left-wing social justice causes." Danhoff would add, "Imagine what would happen if conservative shareholders and red state pension fund managers all started voting against board members of the far-left companies that are corrupting the culture." This sounds like a great idea, but there are a few problems. Probably the biggest problem is the idea that these boards and CEOs actually care what conservative activist investors think. I'm of the opinion that they truly don't care and would ignore what they have to say anyways. The people in control of these companies are, in my opinion, ideologues, and they will put that first and foremost. In fact, Almasi actually proves that when he cites Apple CEO Tim Cook asserting that environmental goals are more important to him than shareholder investments. So in order to actually get rid of these people, you would have to pull a Bruce Wayne from Batman Begins and take majority control of the company in order to get rid of them. That's not to say it isn't worth trying. I believe it is. However, another roadblock is the actual engagement of conservatives. As Danhoff points out in his piece for Breitbart, boycotts of these corporate entities did not work and do not work. He points to Nike, Procter & Gamble, Coca-Cola, Disney, and the NFL. If conservatives and those opposed to wokeness infecting these corporations and American culture at large can't effectively boycott these companies, how do they imagine they will be taking over the corporations as investor activists? I just don't see it happening. There is a lack of commitment, willpower, and ultimately sacrifice. Most people are too comfortable with the way they are living their lives now to take the fight to woke culture that is infecting America. Maybe that will change, but the Texas Rangers opened to a full stadium even after President Donald Trump called for a boycott of Major League Baseball following the league's decision to move their All-Star game out of Atlanta in the wake of Georgia passing a voting bill. And that was just yesterday. My name is John Trent, and you've been watching Bounding Into Comics.